Hello, good morning. We'll get started in a few minutes. I'm just trying to make sure that my Zoom is up and running. Good morning. We'll get started in a few minutes. Can everybody hear me? If you can give me a thumbs up in the... Awesome. All right. Good. At least we got one person there. A
Hi,
couple.
James. I'm from Department of Technology. Michael Blooms. I'm your moderator, just so you know.
Oh, thank you. Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you.
How are you?
Well, so far so good. I think I'm heading on the right track if I see all of you, right?
Yeah.
Now, do I need to make you a host or?
I think I'm okay, but if you right click on the three little dots on my picture, see if it says I'm a co-host already.
Okay.
I think I am, because I think I was an alternate host.
Let's see, just kind of rearranging my screen. Yep, it doesn't, it just says make a host.
Yeah, that means I'm already a co-host.
Yeah, it says you're a co-host.
Perfect.
Awesome. Good, we're on the right track. Hello, teachers. How is everyone doing?
Awesome. Ready to go back to work. Yay.
All right. When's the first day of school again over there for San Francisco?
Well, we start tomorrow. The kids start next Thursday.
Oh, okay. That's right. I was just up in San Francisco working with a group of teachers there, and I couldn't remember because so many districts are starting in different areas, different times. So it's today your whole PD day. Is that what it is?
Yes.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here on the few days before school, and we'll get started in about a minute. Let me go ahead and share my screen. Dr. Michael, how do you pronounce your last name?
Bloomsma.
Bloomsma?
Bloomsma. Bloom like a flower.
Oh, okay. Bloomsma. Please forgive me if I butcher it again. I'm so horrible with names. Oh, of course. You're welcome, Renee. It's a pleasure to be here. And Josephine, this is for K-5 teachers. Let me see. I think I'm good. So I think everyone signed in, because once you sign in, you just need to sign in once, but I had that slide just in case anyone needed to sign in, but I think everyone's good, right? for signing in? All right, let's see.
James, did you have a link to your slideshow or?
It wasn't a sign in. Let me see if I can pull it up here.
You just paste it into the chat. That would be awesome.
Yeah, let me grab that real quick
Or if
here.
it's in the Zoom lobby, I can grab it too.
Okay, yeah, I do believe it's in the Zoom lobby. Let me see here if I can put it in through here.
Like
The PDF version of it.
Yeah, that's okay. I'll try and see if I can.
Okay.
Actually, it's in the Zoom platform, so folks can get it there.
Oh, it is? Okay, great, great. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and get started. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us. We have first grade, second grade teachers, third grade teachers, any fourth and fifth grade teachers. Just kind of get a feel of, if you can type in your grade level, that'd be great. And that'd be great, just to get an idea. Yes. Okay. 7th and 8th ELs. So if you're in 7th and 8th grade, I don't know if this is designed for elementary, for K through 5. So, and I see some, John, are you a 7th, 8th grade teacher?
Oh yeah, I am, but I teach ELs.
Oh, okay. Do you have Amplify in middle school there?
Well, I'm sorry?
Oh, is it middle school Amplify? Do you have?
No, but I'm just kind of interested to see.
Oh, okay, sure. Of course. Yeah, welcome. Definitely stay. Please really stay.
Hi, James. There's a little glitch that we discovered. If you click on the security button at the bottom of your screen.
Okay.
In the Zoom platform. See, it looks like a little shield next to stop video participants.
Yes, the security.
Click that, unclick chat, and then re-click chat, and that will allow, because people can't chat everyone right now, just me or you.
Okay, so I unclick chat.
And I go back and click it again.
And click it again. Yeah, no one. I've been noticing that they're all direct messages to me.
Yeah.
Is it working now so far?
Yay! All right.
Awesome! Yay! Thank you. Well, we'll go ahead and get started. Can everybody see the screen? We're good. You can see the Amplify screen, my presentation there. Awesome.
Actually, sorry, we see the presenter toolkit.
Oh, you can't. Oh, yeah. All right. How's that? We'll get it right soon. All right. Well, welcome to Amplify Science Training. It's so nice to be here with you all. And in this 1-hour session, I'm trying to cover at least a program overview so that you have just a general feel for how to navigate Amplify Science. So this is designed for brand new teachers. However, if you just played around with it, or if you've started using Amplify Science, please, we do still welcome you. And any feedback or any experiences that you want to share with us, you're more than happy to share that with us in chat or come off of mute. One thing I wanted to share is that as you log in, this is a way you'll log into your platform. So you'll go into your K5 Science portal and through your San Francisco USD portal. And then you'll go ahead and select the grade level that's at the bottom. So whatever grade level that you would, you'll select that grade level. And then once you come in, you'll come to a screen like this. This is obviously for kindergarten, but whatever grade level that you've selected, it'll come and you'll have the first unit is designed by San Francisco Unified School District, which is wonderful. Basically, it's called Launch Unit 0. And it's a way to set up the students getting ready for scientists. So it's really having them get ready to be a scientist, and it's a very short unit. The lower grades are about 45-minute lessons over a course of 2 to 3 weeks. And the upper grades are about 45 to 55 minutes lessons over the course of 2 weeks. So it's a great way to just get this kid started, acclimated to science, getting them excited for the units that are to come. So that's the way you will access your account, your science account. Sometimes I'll refer to it as your science platform or science account. So if I do that, that means the same thing. Then here we have a look at what it would look like. as you click on the launch, the unit 0. So there's an example of that. And then once you get started, then you'll go ahead and select unit 1 in the life sciences. Well, this is in kindergarten. So with first grade, it'll be plants and animal animal plant defenses. With second grade, it would be plant and animal relationships. Third grade, balancing forces. Fourth grade, energy conversions. And fifth grade, patterns of earth and sky. So those will be your first units that you'll be launching right after you launch your unit 0 and introduce your science to your students. All right, and this, there's a couple ways I was told that you'll be able to access this. Here, this is one of the ways that you can access through that little icon, the Amplify icon in your science portal. The other way that you would access this is through this on your page for your whatever grade level that is. So you'll click on that icon for science. All right, any questions so far? No? Awesome. All right, great.
Hey,
So,
James, I'll
yes.
just say, hi, everyone. I'm Renee Marcy, the supervisor for science. Thanks for joining the science session. I'll put in the chat the link to the slides from the NTO session that we did as well, which will give you an asynchronous opportunity to walk through all the stuff that James just said as well. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. If you have your account ready, so we're at different places at this of the school year with districts. So if you have an account that you can log into, go ahead and log into your Amplify Science account. And if you do not have one yet, or if it's not active, go ahead and let us know in the chat saying that yours is not active, and then if so, you can go ahead and use this demo account. So first try to log into your account, your personal account. And if by any chance you're unable to, you can feel free to, okay, Donna, so go ahead and use this demo account that you see here on the slide. So you go to learning.amplify.com, then you'll log in with Amplify and you'll use the username that's listed there, no spaces, and then your password. And you should be able to get into the demo account. And you're welcome to use this demo account until yours is activated. So once you're in, give me a thumbs up and we'll be good to go. Give me a minute to do that. So once I see one thumbs up, great. Oh, thank you, Dr. Bloomsma. So the link is also in the chat. Okay. Cameron, could you also message Dr. Bloomsma that yours is not active? If yours isn't active, go ahead and use that demo account that is in chat. It's the one that is here. Oh, sorry, right here. And you could use that demo account to access the platform. All right. Anyone need any support? Everything's okay. Everyone's able to log on. We want to make sure you get on. And sometimes technology can be a little temperamental, but we want to make sure that you are able to get on. So if you are, can you also jump up, put a thumbs up in chat? That'd be great. So we do have one person that we know of that's in chat in the platform. Anyone else? Yes. Go ahead and use that demo account because right now we're still at the beginning of the year, so they're in that process of making sure that you all get in. So by the school year, you will have your accounts. So at this time, you can feel free to use this demo account. Great, they're coming in. Thank you. So while you're logging in, I just want to read off this, or just kind of state the Amplify's purpose statement. If you see it on the screen, go ahead and skim through it. And basically what we're saying is that Amplify is really, they recognize the job that you do is just so important, utterly essential. Not everybody can do it. And the fact that you're all here dedicated to your students and ready to get back on track and get back to work is admirable. And they are in your corner, meaning that anytime you're working with Amplify Science, the program, they want to make sure that they're addressing your needs. So if you come across something and, as you're going through the program, as you're working with the program saying, hey, this could be helpful for a third grade teacher or fourth grade teacher, or there's a glitch or something that you've noticed, let Amplify know in the Amplify help site, and they will collect those data, and they will either correct the situation, or if it's a suggestion that you have, they will collect all that data and they will make those changes once they have enough data to about it with as far as feedback from teachers. And over the course of 3 years, they've made so many wonderful changes, and it's evolved because of teacher feedback. And they really want to make sure that they support you in really creating students who are creative thinkers and who can think for themselves and really figuring things out. And so they are definitely on your side for that. And as a parent, I just want to commend you for all you do. I worked for LA Unified School District for about 22 years. So I was in the education field. I was a first grade teacher, and then I became a coordinator. And then right before the pandemic, I left, and then I never went back, and I found Amplify. So I was really pleased to be able to share this information with you. And the teacher told me that they're like, well, you could either be smart and not come back to the classroom, or you could be scared to death and not come back to the classroom. I think it was the latter. So I commend all of you for going back to the classroom, especially with everything that we've been through and you've been through the last couple of years. All right. So the overarching goal for this next few minutes, so 45 minutes, is really have you navigate the Amplify Science curriculum, being comfortable with the basic navigation. And then we'll describe what teaching and learning look like in Amplify. So we'll kind of talk about that. We'll look through this document called the Coherence Flowchart, which is a wonderful document, and then use the digital components in each unit. So just to really familiarize yourself with the platform, so when you do start Amplify Science, you'll be that much more comfortable and confident to teach. So at any time, if there's something that you need me to clarify, or if you have a question to ask, don't hesitate to come off of mute and ask, or drop it into chat, because I do really want to make sure that I answer those questions for you so you're ready to get started with Amplify Science. So let's talk about what is Amplify Science. So quickly, Amplify Science is a collaborative work between the Lawrence Hall of Science at the University of California, Berkeley, and Amplify, which is an ed tech company in Brooklyn. And so they have other programs that you may be familiar with, Dibbles, M-Class, and things like that. And so when the new standards came out back in about 2012, they realized that they couldn't really retrofit an existing program to address 100% of the standards effectively, especially including all those three-dimensional learning that the NGSS, Next Generation Science Standards calls for, which is the science concepts, right? The disciplinary concepts, the concepts that we are all accustomed to teaching and learning. And then the science engineering practices, which is how students figure these things out. How do scientists figure these things out? Do they analyze? Do they look at models? Do they create models, interpret models, right? So how do they get that information understanding? And also the cross-cutting concepts. How do they organize their thinking? Do they learn those science concepts through looking at patterns, understanding patterns or systems, right? So those three dimensions have to be included in the student learning and in our teaching. And one thing Amplify Science did was incorporated all those. So as a teacher, you can be confident when you're teaching Amplify Science that all of those three dimensions that the NGSS calls for is already there in the program. So this is what the course curriculum structure looks like from K through 5. Some of you may be already familiar with this, but from K to 2, you have 3 units. And you can see the units there. There are about 22 lessons per unit. And then in K1, the lessons are designed to be 45 minutes long, and in grades 2 through 5, lessons are 60 minutes long. Now the 4th unit that's added in grades 3 through 5 is introducing really the argumentation. So one of the units now focuses on argumentation. And so then you're really giving the developing those skills. I mean, those argumentation skills are actually introduced in K, but as far as formally, really looking at evidence and skills and things like that, in a more formal manner is introduced in 3rd grade in one of the units. And usually I think it's the last unit. And that way that'll set the stage for when they get into middle school. And if they're using Amplify Science in middle school or even other programs, they would have that skill and that foundation of, what is argumentation? How do they support their arguments with evidence and looking at claims and so forth? And so having a better understanding of that as they move on through the years in their education and science. Any questions on the course curriculum structure? No, we're good. All right, so these are the program components in K through 5. So you'll have your physical manual, but you'll also have this digital components for that you'll be using. Most of the teachers do use the digital components because in second bullet, those classroom slides, which are wonderful, are available to you in this digital platform. All your classroom wall materials, like you see behind me or on your slide there in the right-hand corner, they're all provided in the kits for that particular unit. So once you start that unit, pull them all out, set them, and then as you teach the lessons, it'll tell you when to display those cards as you're going through your lesson. All the assessments are embedded into the program, so you as a teacher don't have to schedule an additional time to do an assessment. So that's one thing that's difficult with some programs is sometimes you're teaching the lesson and you're thinking, okay, well, now I need to do an assessment, right? So you need to build that time in. Well, with Amplify Science, it's already built in. So for example, if you're doing lesson 1.2, activity 2, let's say, that activity that everyone's doing or that lesson can be an opportunity to collect data. So it's already part of the lesson. It's just now giving you the opportunity to catch the things to look for, to listen for, and then it'll become their formative assessment. So you do these quick checks. Even the end of the unit assessment, they're already built into the program. So you'll have like one part of the assessment could be an activity 1. One part of the assessment could be an activity 2 in lesson 4.5, let's say. So they're already built in and embedded into the program. And then you'll have your program guide, and which I'll show you at the very end, the program hub, which is a wonderful resource. And then you have your Amplify help site. Now with the student materials, you have your hands-on materials, all the consumables, books, anything that you need for the class will be in your kits. The only thing that is not provided in your kits are items that are they're common in the classroom, like paper, chart paper, pencils, Scotch tape, masking tape. Those are the things will be indicated on your list with an asterisk, and I'll show you where that's at and how that's listed. But it saves you the guesswork to see like, oh, is this in the kit? Is this on the kit? Is this something I'm supposed to provide? It'll tell you for every lesson that, oh, you're going to need to provide this. And once in a while, you'll have some materials that are not necessarily common in your classroom. And so you'll have one of those and you can definitely, ask around and try to see if you collect. In first grade, you'll have edibles, right? Carrots. So you need to provide something with carrots or something similar to that because they're going to demonstrate how animals use their structures to eat. In fourth grade, you'll have a cherry pitter. So you're going to look at systems. So you'll need to provide cherries, right? To show them the system of the cherry pitter. And so those are the things that you'll require to obviously bring from home. You do have your student books. You have 5 different titles. There are 18 copies for each of the titles. And then there's digital applications of that title. So for those books, you have the digital books. And then from 2nd grade and to 5th grade, you have digital applications, for example, digital science tools. Then in 4th and 5th grade, you have digital simulations. So they're kind of slowly built in as they progress to the grade levels. But in K1, the only digital applications that you have are the digital books as listed here. And so there is one in the 5 titles, there's one longer reference book. And so these books are really meant to be, they're complex texts. So they're not meant to be decoded or expect students to decode them or read them with automaticity. These are complex texts, are really having students grapple with them. And that's why we have them pair up. It's designed that way. So the power is in the discussion. So you may be reading parts of books, then have them discuss, have them look for words, vocabulary, have them really dig into those textbooks. And so these readers. So again, just keep in mind that, many of the students, when you look at the kinder books, they're not going to necessarily be able to decode them unless you have some gifted kids who love that reading. But really think about it as a way that they're going to really dissect and really dig into those texts and make meaning out of that text. So that's really the purpose of it. You'll have your digital versions, we'll show you at the very end, the interactive e-reader, and then you also have read aloud videos of a teacher reading the digital version of the books. And so you have access to that, and I'll share that with you at the end. Any other questions? So I'll show you where the digital applications are, since this is a digital day, right? So, if you go back to your Amplify curriculum, let me see. So go ahead and open one of your units, maybe look at your first units.
Hi, James. I
Yes.
just discovered I did a typo on the username and password. So give me a minute, folks, and I'll give you the correct.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
info.
In the
Sorry.
meantime, hopefully my thing will load. So again, while we're waiting, go ahead and, or if you have your links, and then hopefully mine will log in by the time, okay, yours, let's see. I'm going to try another platform.
I can share my screen if you want me to. James.
Oh, that'd be great. Yes,
Okay.
please.
It's gonna look different than teacher login probably because I have access to everything, but I'll try.
Let me go ahead and stop sharing.
Oh, I can't do that because I'm a participant.
Oh, it's not having, because of the co-host access?
Yeah. Mhm.
Okay, let me go. I can go ahead and add that. Just a minute. Where are you located on my screen? Okay. Okay. You should be able to do that now. All right, perfect. So you have anywhere that's, it doesn't have to be if you're on a unit or a different unit. If you go to the top left-hand corner, right next to that house, you'll see the waffle. So this is where you'll see a couple of resources. So right now, I'm just going to show you where you can access the digital versions of the book and the digital. So if you scroll right under tools, you'll see elementary student apps right to the right, the right-hand side. So you'll see tools. If you go down right there under tools.
Yeah, do I need to click Science
No,
California?
no, you can just go ahead and click elementary student apps right there, that little icon there. And so if you're signing in, your students will have access to this also, and it'll just show their particular units, right? The units. So go ahead and scroll down to any of the units we can click on. Since we're looking at energy conversions today as an example, let's go to 4th grade, right there with the city lights, energy conversions. And then you can see the example. So 4th and 5th grade, you do have a simulation. So if you want to click on the simulation there, it's just an example of some of the science tools and digital components. And I think just the platform itself is a little slow today. Oh, okay. So it says okay, let's go back. If we can go back to the Amplify curriculum, I think some people, so if you go back to your Amplify unit, so go back to the tab to the left, there you go. So right there at the top left-hand corner, you see the waffle. So that's where you'll click to access all of these icons, these resources. So if you click on that, and you'll click on elementary student apps. So we'll stop there and have you all try to click in and locate that so you're comfortable locating that. And go ahead and select a unit from your grade level. And let's take like about a minute, because I know we're short on time, just to kind of glance through them, the digital books, the science tools, just so that you know you're familiarizing yourself with what's there. And again, let us know in chat if you're unable to get in there. We'll definitely be more than happy to guide you back to where that is. So if you're on the page, just think waffle. I can always remember food, so I'll think waffle. And when you click on that, then you'll click elementary student apps. So waffle, elementary student apps. And that waffle, the name is called program apps. Awesome. Yay. Okay. I love it when we can find things right in technology. All right, so go ahead and take a minute. I'll be quiet, and then just kind of explore that. And again, let us know if you have any trouble finding it, locating it. And Dr. Marcy, if you want to click on the third tab, the student apps, maybe, or the right at the very top, the third tab, right there, yeah. So they can see the examples of, yeah, that one. Then you can see the science practice tools. Again, K and 1 won't have those. You'll just have the digital books. So. And it looks like you do have this access to the Spanish version. So it's the same thing, the teacher's reading that Spanish book, but in Spanish. So the text is in Spanish. Yes. And Amplify did a wonderful job for that, Amplify for Spanish support. So go ahead and take another 30 seconds. And right before we move on, are there any questions regarding the elementary student apps? And again, your students will be able to log in through the platform that you're using. I do believe it's Clever, and they will be able to access these simulations just like what you're seeing here. So that way they can work on it at home or in their classroom. And so they'll be able to access these simulations. And they'll look just like that, but it'll just have their units, and you'll just instruct them, okay, click on, unit 1, and they can find those science tools or the readers. So then you don't have to send the readers home with them. They can read it and watch it, read it digitally. All right, any questions? All right. Okay, we'll go ahead and move on, and I'll go back to my slides real quick. Thank you so much, Dr. Marcy. That really helped out. All right, so let's see here.
No problem at all.
That's what we call teamwork, right? And now I just got to find it. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see that. Okay, so again, just a review, go to the waffles, in the tools, you see the elementary student apps to access those applications, those digital components for the books and the science tools. And we saw that. All right, now for the classroom kits, you may have seen these, but if you haven't, they're going to look like this. They're in clear plastic containers. The number of containers depends on the unit. Sometimes there's 2, sometimes there's 1, in some cases there's 3, but all the consumables are built for a class size of 36 students, enough for 2 years. So if your class size is a lot smaller, then obviously the consumables are going to last longer. And so once that comes down to that time where you do need to replenish it, then that's something that that you'll work with your district or with your school sites to replenish those kits. And I know each district works differently as far as how to replenish those kits. But if you're just starting with that kit, or you with it, you're good for another year. Okay. All right. Any questions? Wondering about the hands-on science explorations. Yes, they're all in the kit, everything, and you have that cherry pitter for 4th grade, and we're going to actually kind of look through that a little bit, but it's basically looking at a system. But the cherry pitter is actually in your kit, so anything special like that, because that's not something common. I never knew what a cherry pitter was until I looked at this platform, or the Amplify, and I realized, oh, that's what a cherry pitter looks like. So, but they will be in your kit, and I'll show you how to distinguish what's in your kit and what's not. So what's important with Amplify Science is the next generation science standards calls for phenomenon-based learning and teaching. So what is a phenomenon? It's really an observable event that occurs in this universe that we can use science ideas to explain or predict. So it's very specific, and it's driving the learning of the science concepts. So when you take a look at these topic-based, in the past, we're accustomed to learning and teaching topics, right? Today, or this next month, we're going to learn about ocean habitats. When I was a 1st grade teacher, I would try to make this beautiful board. And all I did was really provide them information. They memorized it. They read books. They memorized the information. They looked at videos. They memorized information. They talked about it, memorized information. But what's different is they're now learning ocean habitats through a phenomenon. So now they're looking at how they're trying to figure out, how does a sea turtle who lived in the aquarium now is going to be released into the ocean? How is she going to survive where ocean habitats live? So now you can imagine all the science concepts that the students need to learn in order to figure that out. And that's where that's ocean habitats, right? How do fish survive? How do animals in the ocean survive? How, prey, predator, how do they protect themselves? What do they eat? Right. So they're learning these topics, or these science concepts, the disciplinary core ideas, now by figuring out the phenomenon base. So if you take a look at the last two, electric circuits and mixtures and solutions, take a glance at the phenomenon-based classroom. And if anyone wants to come out, we'll take one person, want to share what would be different in a phenomenon-based classroom. What would learning be like? How is it different? You can drop it in chat, or come off of mute if that's easier.
Hi, James. Just
Yeah.
heads up. It looks like the login with Google button works. I tested that. So because our system syncs. So
Okay.
folks, if they're not able to get in using the login with Amplify, try just your login with Google button. However, your students do need to go in through Clever, because that's how student accounts are synced.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Anyone would like to share how is learning different in a phenomenon-based classroom? Feel free to come off of mute. I'll use my wait time here. Yes, thank you, Camera. Yes, it sparks curiosity and learning that follows, right? And that's the thing, they can relate to something. Whereas if you're going to say, oh, we're talking about electrical circuits, you may have 1 or 2 students who might be interested in it, but the rest of the students are probably looking at you like, okay, that doesn't sound fun, including myself as an adult. But if you introduce it to them, hey, this flashlight's not working, but it used to work, they've experienced that probably, and it triggers that curiosity, definitely. Yet students are making sense of things and developing an understanding of the information and concepts instead of recitation. And that's so true, because now they're really figuring out, they're learning those concepts, but now they're applying it and trying to figure it out instead of just memorizing it. Yes, the STEM program is definitely appropriate for STEM programs, the Amplify, sorry about that. Let's see here. Okay, so we're really moving from that shift, right? The shift from NGSS is really the traditional sense of learning about, where you're giving students to memorize, and they're memorizing all these things. We test them on it, the students get 90s and 80%. 2 weeks later, half the students forgot everything. And then the ones who remember, they don't know how to apply that knowledge, right? They can recite all the information to you, but it was like that traditional sense. The more you memorize science concept, the smarter you are, right? But in truth, the students they may know it, but they don't know how to apply it. So we're really shifting from that to having students figuring it out like scientists. We're teaching them the skills, the scientific practices on how to obtain that knowledge and figure things out. And that also goes to life skills, right? It's something that they're going to really use in other areas of their life. But if there's a situation, like how do they figure it out? And it's having them grapple with it. And one thing that you'll notice, especially with the shift, is like, as a teacher, I want to tell them, they ask me, I want to tell them. But really, it's like with Amplify Science and new standards, you want to step back and have them figure it out, have them grapple with it. And they're going to come to the understanding at different parts because they're looking at evidence. They're going through these different activities and they're getting more information. So it's almost like, no, you're not wrong. You know, they may come up with an idea and that's what they know based off the information that they know, but you're not wrong. You just don't have the information yet. So hold on to that thought. We're going to come back after we read, after we do this hands-on investigation, go back to it. Now, do you think that based on what we've did? So it's really letting the students own their learning, right? So let's quickly introduce a phenomenon. This is an example of a fourth grade, how the phenomenon is introduced, because each unit is introduced with a phenomenon that the students are going to figure out and the role that the students are going to play. So I'm going to quickly go through this just because of time. But this is fourth grade unit 1. And basically, these are the slides that were taken from the students or from the teacher's guide, right? This is a slide that you'll be using if you're fourth grade teacher. So in this unit, we're beginning a unit called, in this unit, we're beginning, we're looking at Ergstown, right? We're going to look at energy conversion, this blackout that's happening in Ergstown. So in this unit, we're going to investigate why blackouts occur and come up with solutions to prevent them. So obviously you're talking with them, thinking about what is a blackout. So this picture shows you a town we'll call Ergstown. What do you see in the picture? Students respond. The next slide. Well, a few moments later, this is what happened. Now what is different? What do you think is going on in that picture? Next slide. What do you notice in this picture? So it's really activating their own prior knowledge of what's happening, what they think is happening, what they've maybe experienced. And many students have experienced blackout. If not, we're trying to get what they understand about what they're seeing initially. We're always looking for what knowledge they already come with in the classroom. Have you ever been in the blackout? What was it like? Why might blackouts be a problem? And then here's an email from Mayor Jules. And basically what he's saying, as you kind of glance through that, basically he's saying that these blackouts can be dangerous and inconvenient. So I need a team to figure out how this electrical system can be improved. So this team's going to solve this problem. So I need your help to really solve this problem of why this blackout happens. And then at the end, come up with ideas about how to improve this electrical system. So that is the phenomenon in fourth grade. That is their job, is now to figure out why is this blackout happening. So they have to learn about systems. They have to learn about electrical currents, right? All these different ideas and science concepts. And then later on, they explain it. So you can see the phenomenon is rich, it's complex, and it drives the learning through the whole unit. And it's very specific and observable, and it's relatable to the student's developmental level. So a teacher brought it up and described it nicely. The science concepts are what they're learning, what we're teaching them, and they're learning and figuring out. But the phenomenon is making it interesting for them to learn it. So instead of just memorizing the concepts, now they're figuring it out through this phenomenon that, they're introduced to. Any questions on the phenomenon-based instruction? All right. So now we're going to go through navigating and playing. So hopefully you're all able to get in, because we're going to do some navigating in your platform, so you can just be comfortable and just familiar with the just a basic navigation of the platform. So the unit structure, so each unit is divided into chapters. The number of chapters vary depending on the unit, the grade level. Then each chapter is divided into lessons. Again, the number of lessons vary. And then each lesson is divided into activities. So you may have 1 activity, 2 activities per lesson, 5 activities per lesson. All those activities are designed to be taught in order in that lesson before moving on to the next lesson. So you can think of it as, we always say, you can think of it as UCLA, right? Unit, chapters, lesson, activities. So that's an easy way to remember. And that's how the structure of it. One thing that you'll notice when you click in, when we go into our platform, is that when you click on the unit, you notice all the lessons all on one page. That's a change based off teacher feedback, because in the past, teachers had to click on the unit, click on the chapter, click on the lesson, click back. And some of you who've been using Amplify or were introduced to Amplify may remember that. And teachers are saying, there's so many clicks to it, we just want it all on one page. So now when you open that unit, you'll see all the lessons. So why don't we go ahead and do that? So go ahead and go to the unit that you're looking at. And if I can have Dr. Marcy to share your screen, that'll be helpful. Let me stop share there. So while we're waiting, go ahead and click on your platform and then go back to your unit that you're looking at, the very first unit, preferably, since that's the unit that you're going to start with.
You're gonna have to tell me where to go.
Oh, yeah, yes. Okay, if you go to that first tab to the left, and it should pop up. Oh, then go back to that Science California under M class, right there in that little box under programs, and it should take us. Oh, go back to the waffle, and it should, there we go. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at 4th grade, since that's what I was looking at, and we'll look at unit 1, energy conversions. So if you scroll down, as you can see, all the lessons are, if you click on chapters in the left-hand margin, right under unit overview, and then open up. So those are all your lessons there. So go ahead and click on a lesson. So we'll start with lesson 1.2. We'll click on 1.2. So do you see the 2 arrows on the side of the lesson as you see in the picture? There's 2 little arrows on the left and right. Those arrows you can use to toggle between the lessons. So go ahead and try that. And you click on, if you want to look at the next lesson coming up, you can toggle between the 2 lessons there and the lessons through there. The other way that you can go between lessons, if you look at the very top, the top where it's just below where you see the Amplify logo, you see the energy conversion. We call that the breadcrumbs. So on the right, we see that's lesson 1.4. So if you want to go back, you just click on energy conversions, and it'll take you to the chapters again. And that's, you can select your lesson that way. So there are 2 ways to navigate between lessons. Yes. Oh, you got it. Okay. So go ahead and go back to a lesson. Lesson 1.2 or 3. Yeah, that's good. Now, what I want to show you is just some key things to look at when you're starting to teach a lesson. So if you scroll down, the first thing you want to look at when you're starting a lesson is download the classroom slides. So go ahead and download it, go to your lesson. And I would, if you use a PowerPoint, we'll use a Google slide version. Most teachers tend to use that, but it's up to you. Go ahead and click on that Google Slides there, Dr. Marcy, thank you. And then it'll force you to make a copy. Sorry, the platform is a little slow today. So when you download it, this is your copy, right? So when you look at the title of, if you go to the top left-hand corner, it says copy of lesson 1.2 energy conversion. You can rename that. So some teachers rename it last name like Kochi lesson 1.2. So when you go and you save it into a folder, that'll be your slides. And then all these slides are editable. Editable. I always say edible, but editable. So if you go in, you can always click on the slides. So for example, if you go into a slide and if you want to put sentence frames in there, let's go ahead and click on slide 3 there. And then, like, for example, what are your ideas about your job will be as systems? You can go to the text box and type in sentence frames. My idea of what my job will be will, and so you can type in sentence frames directly onto the slides. You can add more pictures. So if you have students who are new students who just came into your classroom and they needed the additional support, you can pull in pictures, copy and paste pictures. You can add slides. So you can develop these slides, or you can modify these, customize these slides, I should say, to really fit your classroom needs. You don't want to take things out. I mean, you don't want to skip activities, but you can hide slides. For example, if you have a gifted class and some students pick it up really fast, then you can hide several slides. But you just remember that the program in the slides and in the curriculum, it's repetitive because they're supporting all student learners, and students need to hear that multiple times in order to really understand it and solidify that understanding. However, you have those gifted clusters who may figure it out and understand it, and so you may not need to have that repetition. In that case, you can hide those slides for those students. But that's just one example. So if you want to just play with that, and I know I only have 10 minutes, so I'm going to move on, or 15 minutes. So I'm going to move on, but just know when you're planning your lessons, go ahead and download a slide and feel free to modify it and just play around with it. It's okay. You're not going to mess it up. You can always download another version of it. And don't be afraid to customize the slide, but don't feel like you have to, because everything that you need there is in the slides. So don't, if it does repeat itself, it goes in cycles so that the students can have the multiple opportunities to listen. There's different modalities. But one thing I did want to put out to point out is underneath the slides, if you scroll down below the slide itself, right there in the main slide, yeah. And then if you go down below to the bottom and just kind of pull up the teacher's notes, I think we can pull up that margin at the bottom where the teacher's notes are. You might be able to make it wide. There we go. So all your teacher's notes are underneath each slide. So everything that's in the teacher guides are in the slides itself. So if you look through all the slides, look at the teacher notes. There are the suggested teacher talks, teacher actions. So everything that's in your teacher's guide is already there. So you don't even need to have your teacher's guide with you. And then everything's there. So then you'll just go into the present mode of the slideshow and you can present that. We'll show that. Yeah, you can go to presenter view. And so this is what the students will see, but then you're going to have the presenter view. I think it's in the back of the teacher's notes will be, I think if you minimize your screen, the teacher's notes will be in the back of that. So when you go into the presenters mode, it'll open up another window or another tab where you'll see the teacher's notes on there. So you'll slide the projection over. So you're gonna have to play around with that, but then you can have just the teacher's notes right on your desktop like this. So as I'm presenting, I slid the presentation version up to my main screen. So the students are just seeing what you see on the big slide on the left-hand side. That's a screen that they're seeing. The two little screens on the bottom is the previous slide and the next slide, so you know what's coming up. But then I have all my teacher's notes from the teacher's guide right there as I'm presenting. So if you hit enter to the next slide, you can just click on enter. There you go. So as you enter and you just move the slides, the teacher's notes will pop up. So any questions? Awesome. So that's the big key thing. That's one thing I'm going to recommend when you're starting, and especially given the time that we have, download the slide and that'll get you set up. That's a big step already for you to start teaching that lesson. Let me see if I'm going to go ahead and share my screen really quick here. All right. Are there any questions while I'm clicking back to my screen here about the slides? Okay.
While James is loading that, one thing I did want to tell everyone, I'll repost the presentation from New Teacher Orientation, because that slide deck also orients you to the SFUSD portal, which is, as I mentioned in the chat, where you can also access Amplify. And the SFUSD portal has everything SFUSD science that you need, and all the links to the Amplify materials.
Yes, and it's going to be helpful. So now you have at least the slide, and all those resources are there for you. So definitely take a look at that. One thing I want to go over with you is just kind of giving an overall of how the instructional approach is, so you have a better understanding of familiarity of how they designed each of those lessons. So when you're working, all these evidence sources work together. So instead of thinking of it as activities that the students are doing, think about it as evidence sources. They are doing these activities because they're collecting evidence, they're collecting data. When they're reading, they're collecting information. When they're doing a hands-on investigation, they're collecting data. So
James, sorry to interrupt. We can't see your slides. Just
oh,
your
I am so sorry. You
desktop.
can't see the slide there? Oop, hold on one second. All right, let me give this another shot here. Okay. Is it, see it? Okay, sorry about that. Thank you. So you can see you're trying to answer questions for the students. So you have this investigation question, what is a system? So when you're starting this unit, so in order to answer that investigation question, because in order to really figure out why the blackouts are occurring in the city, they have to figure out what is a system to begin, as simple as that. So they look at some cherry pitter tool that many of an unknown, most students may not know that, so they want to introduce them to something that they don't know, that they're not familiar with. Then they read the book Systems, where they break apart the bicycles and talk about systems. So then they connect the two together, so they build on each other. They start with something that they've never seen before as a cherry pitter. Now they're introducing systems, something that they've already experienced. And so you can kind of see the progression. Each chapter, because the phenomenon is such a big idea, right? They can't figure out why this blackout happened in Ergstown. So they're breaking down that phenomenon into questions. So in chapter 1, they're going to ask one question of that phenomenon. Chapter 2, they're going to figure out another question. So here you can see in chapter 1, first of all, they need to figure out what happened to the electrical system the night of the Ergstown blackout. So that you can see the investigation question. They have to figure out what is a system. And in the blue, you see all the different evidence sources, as we call it, or activities that they're going to be doing that builds upon each other so that they can answer those questions. And so you can see the different modalities, right? You can see some of them they're discussing, they're talking, they're charting, they're reading. So there's multi-modalities that the students are going to be engaged in to figure out. So there's going to be different multiple at-bats to figure out these questions. They might not figure out in this lesson, but as they continue to gather more evidence, the lights will start turning on. So the lessons build that way. And so when you look at the lessons, they talk, they read, they write, they visualize, and that's what scientists do. They don't just do hands-on investigation. They have to read, they have to write, they have to discuss. They visualize, meaning that they look at models, they create models to show their thinking. So we're really teaching them the skills of a scientist. But on the other hand, too, students have different learning modalities too. Some students may get it by talking, some students may get it by visualizing. So we're really, the unit and the lessons are developed that way so that there's multiple at-bats for students to really understand the concepts and really figure it out in multiple ways, in these multiple modes of learning. So all the evidence sources work together. So you really don't want to pull things out, because then it'll leave holes. Like, for example, if they didn't do the cherry pitter, they wouldn't have to talk about what a system is, trying to figure out what is a system by looking at the cherry pitter. So they all build upon each other as you go through it. And I always say, trust the process, because sometimes it'll repeat, but then it's because students need that multiple repetition and multiple exposure in different ways to get there. So really have those evidence sources work together. So I want to show you another document that's going to be really helpful for you as you're planning your lesson. It's called the coherence flowchart. And this is a powerful tool that every teacher who we've introduced them this to really enjoy it. So hopefully you'll feel the same way. Basically, it shows you what's the question that the students are trying to answer. The chapter question goes up on the board, as you can see behind me. The investigation question is a science question. The question, in order to answer that chapter question, then you see in blue all the activities that they're doing right here in lesson 1.2, they're observing a simple system and they're reading systems. Lesson 1.3, they're building a simple electrical system. So you can see all the evidence sources that they're going to be experiencing so they can come up with that key concept. So you can see how the lessons are built upon each other, and there's a purpose for that. In this case, all those 4 activities there, the purpose is to answer that investigation question. So let's go ahead and take a look at where that is. And we have about 5 minutes. So I think this is a really important document. So I'm going to stop sharing and have Dr. Marcy put up her screen there. So while you're waiting, go back to your unit page. So you may be on the lesson page right now. Click on that. If you go into the breadcrumbs at the top, click on the unit that you're looking at. So you're at the unit page where all the lessons are listed. Awesome. So we'll go ahead and we'll click on 4th grade just to keep it. So go back to energy conversions. All right. So you want to write this down on the left-hand side, the margin, write down printable resources. And click on that. And to the right, you see coherence flowchart. And then click on that. So there's a very first page is just an overall explanation about it. But if you go to the next slide, it'll show you 1 page. There's 1 page per chapter. So you can see how it outlines. You have the anchor phenomenon, what the phenomenon is. And then you can see this is chapter 1. So there's a chapter 1 question that we introduced to our students as you're teaching the slides or teaching them the lessons using the slides. It tells you what the investigation question is, and that's going to be introduced in lesson 1.2, 1.3. Now, as you progress, the students are going to do these evidence sources. They're going to observe a simple system. They're going to go through those activities so they can come up with that key concept there in the gray. Now, sometimes just that 1 question is not enough to answer the chapter question. So if you go to the right, back in the direction where we were going in the right column, you'll see there's a second investigation question and another set of activities so they can come up with that key concept. So ultimately, by the end of the chapter, the very bottom that in that orange, that's the explanation that we want students to understand and come up with. So take a moment to go ahead and do that and just kind of go to your unit, click on the coherence flowchart and let us know if you have a difficult time finding that. We can guide you to that. But this is just a really great document so that you can see the flow of the lesson and the purpose of each lessons and what is being introduced in that lesson. So I know it's a lot, but once you look at it, it'll support you in your planning. So you can kind of see, okay, if I'm doing lesson 1.4, this is why I'm doing it. I'm trying to answer that question. What can electrical energy in the system be used for? So in order to answer that, the students are going to find electrical energy in the sim. They're going to build simple electrical systems and observe various types of energy and so forth. So I'm going to give you almost a minute to find it, but let us know if you have any difficulties finding it. And again, you have all those resources that Dr. Marcy put up there. That'll help you navigate to this. So I know that was a quick overview and I want to respect your time because you have other things that are fascinating and fun that you want to visit. Are there any questions? This is just an overview. The key thing, once you get, how to navigate a lesson, if you go to the Google Slides, that's a big step. And then looking at this coherence flow chart as a guide as you start teaching the lesson is big. Will be very helpful for you as you start Amplify Science. Any other questions? And I think we have a survey or a feedback form that we need. So I'll go ahead and share that. Any questions while I'm locating this? Okay, one survey slide, the closing reflection, hopefully There you go.
I'll put it in the chat for you.
Okay, thank you so much. And I'll put it up there right now. It's in the chat. And it's a quick overview. And but you do have all those resources to the science team. You have a wonderful science team and all these resources that you can refer to and access. Oop.
Hey, James, just the time check that
Okay, yep. And okay, let's see here. Just so you have the slides. All right. Well, I just thank you so much for joining me in the Amplify Science. Hopefully now you have just at least somewhat of a little understanding or a little bit more confidence as far as the lesson, looking at the Google Slides, and then using this document to kind of guide you through your planning for your lessons to come. So anything else? Again, thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to be here with you all. It's a pleasure to share this information with you. Thank you, Dr. Bloomsma and Dr. Marcy, so much for having me here.
Thanks for being here, and thanks for coming, teachers.
Yes,
Awesome.
thank you so much. Have a great year.
Bye, everyone.
Yeah, you too, James.
All right,
Love
thank
your
you.
your kiddos. Okay.
Okay, thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, good to see you. Bye.
Okay, bye-bye.